Sometimes you have an instinct, eh? You see something in a fighter. You don't even know if it's real. You're looking for it so bad.
Here, Profile MMA coming at you with another video for this upcoming BKFC 88 in Denver. Got 2 scheduled BKFC events this week. Lots of research to do. Very busy fight week. You got PFL again this week. PFL was last week. They actually had 2 events. Now BKFC is having 2 events this week. You got UFC. Always got boxing. Just we're picking up really kind of first quarter of the year going into the second. Just a lot of fights going on right now in the last few weeks. Getting ready to go into International Fight Week coming up in a couple months, I believe, as well. Just a lot of great fights coming up, and there's already been great fights. Talking about this Honolulu card, just absolutely banger of a card. 10 out of the 13 fights ended in knockout. Just absolutely crazy. Ended up going 8-5. Can't really be mad at this card. Predicting, breaking it down was hard enough. I knew a lot of these fights were probably going to be coin flip fights. More of the heavy favorites. Average confidence I did hit besides the main event. We're going to talk about our losses because we only talk about our losses here, trying to improve on them. Took Pono Enos. Low confidence, I believe. I forget. Yeah, dropped Macalino twice. Props for Macalino getting up twice and delivering an absolutely massive counter. Less than 10 seconds left in the round, you heard the clacker go off, and Macalino just landed lights out shot, ending it, coming back down from 2 knockdowns to put Enos out cold, man. It was a pretty brutal knockout. Next loss was Kalen Garospi, took him low confidence. I had a feeling this fight too. Kind of second guessed myself. Should have took Saragossa. Round 2, both fighters got dropped. Saragossa, he got dropped and he immediately responded to getting dropped and hurt Kalen Garospi pretty bad. I wouldn't say as bad as the Pono Enos knockout, but pretty close. And Saragossa showed he's a dog, and he pulled that fight out. Moving on to the main card. I also thought there were going to be 7 free fights. They had 7 free fights slotted into the free fights card, but they ended up giving us 4, which is 1 more than normal. So next fight we lost is Chris Cisneros versus Namakana Pakala. Should have took Pakala here in hindsight. Just him coming out there, I did not expect him to be that jacked. And his profile picture, honestly, like, it shows, man. This guy is jacked. Looking saucy, man. And I was scared Chris going into the fight, and then early on just dropped twice in the first round, but props to Chris coming back, dropping Pakala twice on his own. But Pakala, man, he's just got that dog in him, and he's got that power factor for sure. But props to Chris Cisneros, making a pretty close fight, dropping Pakala twice, getting a 10-7 round, clear across the board for Chris himself. But just every shot Pakala threw was dangerous, and I really can't be mad at this fight because Chris did put up a great fight. Just he's on the latter stages of his career, and Pakala is in his prime. Great fight by Pakala. He impressed me, his durability, man. Chris was hitting him with some clean shots. Next fight, Jovan Aleon versus Christopher Inocencio. I took Aleon low confidence, I believe. I said Chris Inocencio is live. It looks like he's just a fighter, man. He's always shadow boxing, always, from what I could tell, his Instagram for years, man. He's just born and bred fighter, man. And he showed up and got the early knockout win. put a Leon out pretty cold. They fell out of the ropes, I believe, too, a little bit. But yeah, should have went with my gut there. Did take Justin Cornell over Zach Zane. Was proud of that pick. This fight was a little kind of scared me how close this fight was, but they did give it to the native Hawaiian on the card, Toby Mysek. But I was scared this fight. But in Hawaii, you got to know there are going to be Hawaiian judges. They're probably going to favor some Hawaiian fighters, just kind of like when UFC goes to Brazil. And then main event, Maki Pitolo was on the other hand the defeat that night against Doug Coltrane. Doug Coltrane looked good, man. Very lanky striker for this middleweight division. Maki Pitolo kind of looked like a little undersized coming into this fight, and it was just a danger getting into the inside of Doug Coltrane. He tried, but props to Doug Coltrane fighting a more counter fight style, and just timing looked great, and great first round knockout by Doug Coltrane here. Alright, first fight, BKFC 88, Denver, Colorado. You have Sergio Lopez going to be taking on Brett Hudson in the lightweight division. 46-year-old Sergio Lopez versus 38-year-old Brett Hudson. Sergio Lopez holds a 1-1 BKFC record. Brett Hudson coming in this 0-2. Looking at the tally of tape, Sergio Lopez is going to be an inch taller, have an inch longer reach. Also, Sergio Lopez coming into this with some experience, 7-12 pro MMA record. Both these fighters are also going to be fighting out of Colorado. That's another factor into breaking down these fights. You kind of got to try and guess these fighters' cardio and see if their durability and cardio is going to hold up in this high altitude of Denver, Colorado, which can empty some gas tanks early. This is a toss-up fight for me. I'm really having a tough time picking someone in this fight. You have Sergio Lopez, who came on the Prospect Series for BKFC looking to get a contract and got finished in the third round against a pretty good fighter. And then he ended up getting the call, I would assume short notice call, injury replacement call for a fight, for his next fight, and then he ended up getting the knockout win, but it was over another 48-year-old fighter. But on the other hand, you have Brett Hudson here, who went straight from nothing right into BKFC, and he's been knocked out twice in both of his BKFC fights. Jumping over to Brett Hudson, you can just see this guy lives in the gym. He's always training, weightlifting. He's hitting pads a lot. Just, it's a question of, are you leaving too much in the gym? How much are you leaving in the gym? Are you overtraining? Because those are honest questions to ask. And when it comes down to watching him hit the pads, I'm not very impressed. And it's making me want to lean Sergio. Not seeing much here on him hitting the pads, but I don't really see anything on Sergio. It's hard to find fights on these guys. That's all we're getting from Brett here. Hopping over to Sergio, his Instagram, not much clips here to go off of. No real information, just you can see he's followed by Bare Knuckle FC. And doing my research here, some of these fighters are followed by BKFC and some aren't. So I think they see a little bit upside in Sergio here. And this is going to be in Colorado. Both these fighters fighting out of Colorado. Sergio Lopez seems like he came into BKFC because he wanted to fight for his family, his kids. And with this being in Colorado, man, I don't see him losing it on his side, man, in front of his family, man. I think he's going to be the more technical fighter, having more experience. I think he's going to have, honestly, more dog in him as well. It's not like they're giving him a 2-0 fighter, 2-1. I think this is going to be a pretty fair matchup here. And I just got to lean with the experience on Sergio Lopez's side. I feel like this guy's honestly been in more of the street fights. He's just been finished a lot in his pro MMA record. But you got Brett Hudson, who's 0-2 in BKFC. I want to note that one of his losses against very high competition, but yeah, I'm going to go Sergio Lopez here. Low confidence. I want to go average, but we'll go low confidence. Actually, no, we're going average, Sergio Lopez. I was trying to make this a quick video and then like 6 minutes on the first fight. Jeez. Next up, another lightweight bout. You have 39-year-old Matt Maestas going to be taking on 38-year-old Ruben Arroyo. Maestas coming into this BKFC record of 1-1. Ruben Arroyo 0-3. Looking at Ruben Arroyo, he's also 0-2 in amateur MMA, 0-1 pro boxer. He's still looking for his win on his professional resume or combat sports resume in general for Arroyo. And you gotta give it to BKFC for giving him another chance here, 0-3 record. So I think they see something in Arroyo here, and it made me look into him a little deeper. Looking at the Matt Maestas side, 1-1 pro boxer, 1-0 amateur boxing. He's 0-2 in bare knuckle boxing, another promotion outside of the BKFC. Looking at the tail of the tape, Maestas going to be 4-inch taller, possess about 2.5-inch reach advantage in this fight, have the bigger fists. In general, going to be the bigger fighter in this fight. If you look at Maestas' resume, what he's weighed in the past, pretty sure he's fought at 185 all the way up to 185. I know he's fought at 170. It's going to be a lightweight bout. Looking at Arroyo, he's fought at 145 before, so Maestas going to be coming into this a lot bigger, but could Ruben Arroyo possibly have the lighter man skill coming into this fight? I would say yes. Could be a little bit more quicker with his combinations and kind of catch Maestas, the bigger guy. Maestas might not see it coming. It looks like in his fights you want to try and hurt him early. That's what I see in a lot of these bare knuckle fights. If you can hurt your opponent early, it gives you a higher chance of winning. But it could affect you early as well. It's 50-50. I see a lot of these fighters coming out with that game plan. Both these fighters fighting out of Colorado. I just like the Ruben Arroyo side here a little bit. And he's not going to be popular this week at all. I feel like could be a good dog play. I like the story side on Arroyo as well. He's got a nice story if you read his BKFC bio. Just rough life, man. Been incarcerated, $20 in his pocket, and he shows up for BKFC. I think he's more hungry, man. I try and stick with the more hungry fighters. And just not really seeing stuff on the Maestas side. Just looks like he's fought lower level competition. But he's getting them lower level of competition out in the first round. And Ruben Arroyo doesn't have a win to his record, but I think he's hungry. And just looking at their experience, I would lean to the Ruben Arroyo side. With the experience in this matchup, He started training MMA 2015, had his first bout. Looks like Maestas kind of picked it up late, had his first bout in 2023, I want to say. I could hop over their Instagrams. Here's Matthew Maestas. Just not much on his Instagram. Nothing to really go off of. Same with Ruben Arroyo here. They're just posing a lot, repping BKFC. You see it more out of the Arroyo side. He's posing with everybody. But I think he's got to show up here, man. I'm not that confident, but I think it's a sneaky dog pick for this week. You can see him here with David Feldman. One of these pictures. I can't find it. Not that important, but they still got faith in him. BKFC giving him another match. He's 0-3. Hope he turns around here and gets a win against someone he could do it against. I'm going to take Ruben Arroyo here. Low confidence. That's going to be the pick. Now on to the next fight. Next up, got a flyweight bout. I didn't write that on here. I just realized that, but these guys are less than like 5'7", so this is 125-pound bout. You have 28-year-old Angelo Trujillo going to be taking on 32-year-old Anthony Yost. Trujillo coming into this 0-1 in BKFC, but he does have some bare-knuckle experience outside of BKFC. I believe he's 1-1. I forgot to put that on here too. But Anthony Yost has an actual BKFC record of 1-1. He's 2-3 in pro MMA, 0-1 outside of the promotion and bare knuckle, 2-7 amateur. Trujillo, 2-5 in pro MMA, 0-1 pro boxer, 4-5 amateur MMA. I classify him as a kickboxer. I'd classify Yost as technical brawler. I'd say he's more technical than he is a brawler from watching more of his tape. Trujillo southpaw, Yost orthodox. I have Yost noted coming off a good win. Chachi Versace, who I rate pretty high. Tough fighter to fight in BKFC. Jumping over to Trujillo's Instagram. Last fought in August, I believe, in BKFC. Seems like he's really undersized for almost every division he fights in. I don't think the 5'6" is accurate. I think he's a little bit shorter than that. I think Yost is going to come in and have a pretty decent size advantage in this fight. It feels like Trujillo's just outsized in every fight, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't show up. He's very quick. Might have a slight speed advantage in this fight. He is pretty fast from what I can tell. And this is a really tough fight for me. Another like kind of toss-up. Just not much tape you're looking at Trujillo here. Usually always outsized, as you can see, fighting the taller fighters. But he's scrappy, man, and fighting out of his hometown. His first fight didn't go his way. He got DQ'd. Landed shots after the opponent was knocked down. Kind of weak DQ there, in my opinion. It was like 1 or 2 shots, but nonetheless, you can't do that stuff, man. And he got overexcited. Hit his opponent when he was down and got DQ'd because of it, but some nasty clinch work he caught him in. And I think he is a pretty good fighter. Looking on the Yost side, you can see him here already in Denver, Colorado. Already climbing mountains. That tells me he's got good cardio, man. And he went to a decision with Chachi Versace. Like I told you, I rate pretty high. So that's a pretty good pace you got to put on in that fight. See him shadow boxing here. Not just shadow boxing, working on his foot movement, his footwork. I like to see that. His defense. I think he's just going to be a slightly more technical, bigger, stronger fighter in this fight. Maybe not stronger, just bigger and technical. He still looks pretty fast as well. This is a really tough fight for me to pick here. I was leaning Trujillo, and then I was leaning Yost, and then I was leaning Trujillo. I'm going to take Yost here. Low confidence. Give me Anthony Yost here over Angelo Trujillo in this flyweight matchup. On to the next fight. Next up, got a cruiserweight bout. You have 36-year-old Deron Winn making his BKFC debut. Going to be taking on 43-year-old Erick Lozano. Looking on the Winn side, I know him most by the way of the UFC. He had a 2-3 UFC record, mostly a wrestler. He's currently a wrestling coach coming off a 4-year layoff, 7-3 total pro MMA record. You have Lozano, 14-24 pro MMA record, going to be welcoming Winn to his BKFC debut. Like I said, holding a 3-5 BKFC record, not the best, but some high level of competition. As you can see, notable losses. Took Lorenzo Hunt to the round 3 before getting knocked out, and Mike Richmond round 5 before getting knocked out. Holds a 67% finish rate in 3 of his wins. Looking at the tally of tape here, reach not really a factor, but big size advantage here, 5'10 over 5'6. And this is a cruiserweight division where you're gonna have some tall, big fighters, and I don't know how Winn's really gonna hold up here at cruiserweight. Coming from the UFC into BKFC, you're gonna have a target on your back, and someone's gonna want to take that and steal all that momentum. And that's just a factor you got to realize when you're betting on a lot of these UFC fighters transitioning over to BKFC. Especially being a wrestler. I don't like that. You're mostly a wrestler. Now you're going to pick up boxing without the gloves. I know wrestlers are a little bit more durable. On the durable side, can take some punishment. But they're also not the best on the feet. And that's what all BKFC is. Hopping over to Deron Winn's Instagram account. You can see him 6 days ago hitting some pads. He doesn't look like he's in the best shape, in my opinion, honestly. And he kind of looks a little sloppy, man. It's going to be hard for him to get into range in this fight, facing a lot taller, rangier opponent in Lozano. Looks like he just had his second, I don't know. Looks like he just had a kid 2 weeks ago. That's usually a game changer for me, but I don't know how I'm feeling about it. Just seeing a lot of red flags. I'm really digging Erick Lozano's resume that he has in BKFC. It's not bad at all. Just not seeing any pad work. Just see him taking this guy late into the 3rd round, just exhausting him. Seems like he kind of breaks people. I don't know how good Deron Winn's cardio is going to be coming off a 4-year layoff. Don't know how active he's been. Looks like he has been in the gym helping fighters train, but yeah, I was kind of leaning Winn. But I'm going to take Erick Lozano here, low confidence based off his resume, based off this stylistic matchup. Deron Winn coming into this a lot shorter. He's short, stocky, tight brawler. He does have power. I was leaning on Deron Winn to possibly get a nice win in his debut, but eventually fade him in his career because I don't like him at cruiserweight. He was a 185er his whole UFC career. I know you're going to put on weight when you're taller, but at this height, man, that's tough. You're going to get a lot of tough matchups. And Erick Lozano is no slouch. And I could see him coming in here as a favorite, and people salivating over Deron Winn being an underdog. And I think Erick Lozano here should be a rightful favorite. We'll see when the lines come out. This was another tough fight for me, man, but I'm leaning Lozano here. Low confidence. On to the next fight. Next up, bantamweight bout, we have 22-year-old Noah Aldana making his BKFC debut, transitioning from boxing to bare knuckle. Going to be taking on 46-year-old Nick Burgos, 0-2 BKFC record. Looking at the tail of the tape, huge, absolutely huge age discrepancy here. I don't even know how many years that is. 24-year age gap here? Absolutely insane. Like I said, Aldana making his transition from pro boxing to bare knuckle. Never know how that's going to pan out, but he was 5-0 pro boxer. Looking at the BKFC.com, it says that he'd only had one professional pro boxing bout, but I'm going off BoxRec, man, and they're tracking him at 5-0 pro boxer. All 5 knockouts, which is very impressive. And 5-5 amateur boxing. Not the best, but a lot of people don't have the best amateur boxing records. Looking at Nick Burgos, 11-6 pro MMA, 1-0 pro boxer, and he's 0-1 in kickboxing and 0-1 in Muay Thai. Looking at the rest of the tail of the tape, no real big discrepancy in height or reach. 5-0 pro boxer on Aldana's side just really stands out to me, especially him having 100% KO rate at that record. Early off in pro boxing and your amateurs, you're only going to get 4 rounds, 6 rounds max. So usually those fights end in decision, and him putting out people in all 5 of his pro fights, pretty impressive. Looking on the Aldana side as well, should have the speed advantage. Power is the last to go. Burgos might still have some power left, but Aldana should have the speed, durability. You could lean experience on Burgos, but if Aldana picked up boxing early, already has 15 boxing bouts to his record. That's more than Burgos. This is an MMA. I just got to go with the Aldana side here. I'm going to take him. I got to take him low confidence because it's his debut. Don't know how well it's going to translate gloves off. But could be average confident pick. I just putting some respect on the Burgos side. He looks pretty hungry coming in this fight. Wants to snap his losing skid. I just think this is a kind of tough matchup for him right here, and facing such an experienced boxer and giving him a hungry dog as well, fighting it for in his BKFC debut. I think Aldana could be pushing -300s in this fight. We'll see on the next fight. Next up, got a flyweight bout. You have 27-year-old Octavin Turner going to be taking on 30-year-old Joby Steffensmeier. Steffensmeier making his BKFC debut. Turner 1-0 in BKFC. Turner 1-2 amateur boxer turned bare knuckle. Looks like he holds some power for this flyweight division. Steffensmeier 0-3 pro boxer trying to make the turn to bare knuckle. I don't know about that. Kind of a red flag for me. 1-0 pro MMA, 7-5 amateur MMA. You could say Turner a little bit red flag, 1-2 amateur boxing record, but amateur really doesn't mean that much. You see people turn pro, and that's where they usually step it on and try and start stat patting their record. Because you're not a prospect in boxing until you're like 15, 20-0. But yeah, I don't really like that 0-3 pro boxer now trying to transition to bare knuckle. But on the other hand, that it helps a lot of these fighters. Maybe that's where they find themselves and find that bare knuckle is a sport for them. A lot of these fighters have success not in boxing, not in MMA, but they take the gloves off and they start having success in bare knuckle. But honestly, don't think that's going to be the case in this matchup. I think this is a somewhat easy fight for Turner here. Looking into Octavin Turner's IG, Looks like both of these fellas are pretty hard workers, always in the gym, wake up early, and put the hard work in. I think I'm liking a lot what I'm seeing on the Turner side. Looks like he was in the Army. Like to see that. Always has a smile on his face, enjoying what he does. Uh, Looking at Joby Steffensmeier. Just the kid doesn't give up, man. Uh, Looking at him hitting the pads. You like him training with bare knuckle. You like to see that training with the gloves off. Looks like he's going to be on the taller side for this flyweight division, which might suit him well. Clean combo there by him. Seems like he's more of a striker. I'm just not overly impressed. On the Joby Steffensmeier side. I don't know. I'm going to take Octavin Turner here. Average confidence. One of my first, non-low confidence picks of this card. Watch Joby Steffensmeier show up and look like an animal, use his reach, fight from the outside, and pick apart Turner, but I like Turner, man. I think he's going to possess some power, like I said, in this flyweight division, and be able to hurt a lot of these 125ers in this class. Yep, give me Turner here. Average confidence on the next pick. Next up, welterweight bout. You have 37-year-old Andrew Yates going to be taking on 28-year-old Rodney Hinton. Both these fighters have nice records in BKFC. Yates coming into this 3-1 in BKFC. Rodney Hinton 3-0. One of those is during the Prospect Series, but I count that. Looking at the tail of the tape, Rodney Hinton going to be an inch taller, but he's going to have the longer reach, about 4-inch reach advantage in this fight. Only 1-0 in amateur MMA coming out of Hinton. Only one combat sports bout on his record. But he does train with Christine Ferreira, I saw. Women's champion. Gonna go down the Hall of Fame, no doubt. Great champion, Christine Ferreira. She trains with him all the time, so not a bad training partner there. So this is a tough one to break down here. I think most people would lean Rodney Hinton here. And then the odds probably are going to be released, and he's going to be an underdog, and people are going to be like, what the heck? I think Andrew Yates is one of these fighters, kind of like Sergio Lopez. I said, like, they're not going to lose in Denver, man. Not in front of their family and their fans. And I think Andrew Yates is going to come into this with a little bit more game plan. He keeps his dad in his corner. He's like part of his corner and his coach. I just think Yates is going to come into this a little bit more better game plan. Seems like Rodney Hinton likes to fight in the pocket quite a bit, and Yates really just has to look for openings. And from what I can tell, is he has a very, very good chin. But yeah, this is a tough one. I do want to lean Rodney Hinton here with being 9 years younger, having the 4-inch reach. It's pointing at Rodney Hinton, but when you dive into it, Andrew Yates, quite a bit of experience on his side with the MMA, and one more BKFC bout. He's lost it as well. He knows what it's like to lose. And I know Rodney Hinton is coming in, storming into BKFC. Trains with Freya, Christine. This is a really tough one, but I'm going to go low confidence, Andrew Yates. I think that's a tough fight for Rodney going into enemy territory. Looks like both fighters have cardio. Should be a good fight. But give me Yates here, low confidence on the next fight. Next up, got a cruiserweight bout. Two of these fighters making their BKFC debut. You have 32-year-old Josh Fremd going to be taking on 39-year-old Jared Torgeson. Josh Fremd coming in this with a lot higher level MMA experience. He's 12-6 professional MMA compared to his adversary Torgeson, 20-26 in professional MMA. But Fremd, 6 of those 18 fights coming in the UFC, has a UFC record of 2-4. Looking at Torgeson, he is 1-4 professional boxer, 0-1 kickboxing pro. Both these fighters, though, coming off a pretty quick turnaround. You have Josh Fremd coming off a round 3 knockout win little over 2 weeks ago in PFL. Didn't look like he took an extraordinary amount of damage. He's still booked for this fight in Denver. I feel like BKFC just called and be like, hey, Denver card, you want to show up and come fight for us on bare knuckle? And Josh Fremd agreed, signed the contract, and gonna try and rep for Colorado in this fight, coming off a fight like 17 days ago, which is kind of nuts. But like I said, didn't seem like he took a lot of damage. Fight is still on, and kind of feel like he's getting a layup here, facing another debutant in Torgeson. And like I said, both these fighters coming off quick turnarounds, and Torgeson's coming off a round 1 knockout loss late February. So I do not love that turnaround, especially coming off a knockout loss. Now, I didn't see it. I don't know if it was a TKO, out cold type knockout, but facing higher level competition than Josh Fremd, coming off a knockout. You're a 1-4 pro boxer. I know Josh Fremd's mostly a wrestler, but he honestly had his most success kind of on the feet. He kind of got out-grappled in his UFC run. But Josh Fremd used to fight at 185 in UFC. This is now going to be at cruiserweight. I like Josh Fremd here quite a bit. I'm going to take him average confidence. I kind of think this is a layup fight for Josh Fremd. Could be wrong. This is like a biasy UFC pick right here because I thought Josh Fremd was not a bad UFC fighter at all. He won in his last fight by knockout on the feet. Piece the guy up. And this will look very good on his record for him to pick up this win here in Denver, Colorado. He wants to pick it up. I'm sure he's going to be fighting in front of family and friends. Going to have the crowd on his side. Give me Josh Fremd here, average confidence. I think he's going to be a pretty heavy favorite this card. Next up, got a heavyweight bout. Some big boys. You have 43-year-old Josh Copeland going to be taking on 39-year-old Corey. What you talking about, Willis? Copeland coming into this 2-2 BKFC record. Corey Willis, 2-1 BKFC record. Josh Copeland, 18-7 professional MMA record. Had a short stint in the UFC going 0-2. Also 4-1 amateur MMA. Looking at Corey Willis, 4-0 in amateur MMA, 2-3 in professional MMA. Looking at the tail of the tape, no real advantage on the height. Looking at the reach, looks like Josh Copeland's going to possess about a 3-inch reach advantage in this fight. Also, Josh Copeland fighting out of Colorado, so the fans should be on his side. Looking at Josh Copeland, he's fought nothing but the highest level of competition in this heavyweight class since he joined Bare Knuckle or BKFC. Going about even, 2-2. I think he's been stopped twice and finished people twice. So he's got 100% KO rate, been finished 2 times. And he's kind of got the build like you don't think this guy's could get finished. He's got fire hydrant head. He's built one of the biggest builds for this heavyweight division. He should have a lot of weight on Corey Willis. But Corey, what you talking about? Willis is the only fighter in the heavyweight division to take Leonardo Perdomo into the second round, let alone third. But looking into it, Corey Willis was dropped every round. He just showed off his durability. But how much did that take out of him, that fight? He got dropped 3 or 4 times by Leonardo Perdomo, who hits like an absolute freight train. Once again, just got to lean with experience. The wealth of experience on Copeland's side, man. And him fighting out of Denver. Going to be the bigger fighter. Hopefully the more durable. Has a better resume, track record. Just a lot of things pointing on the Copeland side. Yeah, Corey Willis did take Leonardo Perdomo into his toughest fight, but it really wasn't even a tough fight for Leonardo Perdomo. Just Corey Willis just showed off his durability, which Josh Copeland now knows that if he knocks down Corey Willis, it's not over because he can get up. Not too very confident, though. I will take Josh Copeland here, average confidence. He's got the reach advantage as well. Just a lot of things pointing on the Copeland side. It seems like throughout Corey Willis's entire MMA career, though, that he's been a good striker. And he's getting most of these guys out on strikes by knockout, but just not the highest level of competition compared to who's Josh Copeland's fought. So this is going to be a big test. And we're going to see how Corey Willis stacks up against some of the top talent in this heavyweight division. So give me Josh Copeland here. We'll go average confidence, could be low. On to the next fight. Next up, we got a lightweight bout, the co-main event of this card. BKFC Denver 88. You have 24-year-old Ramiro Figueroa taking on 40-year-old Elvin Brito. Elvin Brito, a veteran of BKFC, as you can see here, 7-6 BKFC record, and out of those 6 losses, only 1 coming by knockout. So very durable, tough fighter to put away. Great matchup here for Ramiro Figueroa to see how he can go against more of these durable fighters in Brito. Figueroa coming into this 4-1 in BKFC. Rare breed Figueroa is, as he's still getting in professional boxing bouts in between his bare knuckle bouts. He hasn't committed to either one. He's still fighting in both organizations. One of the better pro boxing records you'll see in researching bare knuckle, 7-4 pro boxing record, 2-1 amateur. Elvin Brito, 9-9 professional MMA record, 3-3 amateur MMA, 0-1 pro boxing. Looking at the tail of the tape, Figueroa going to be coming into this much longer, lankier fighter. Brito probably a bit more stocky, sturdy, dense type of fighter. But Figueroa coming into this going to have a 5-inch reach advantage. Could spell trouble for Elvin Brito, especially given the boxer the longer reach advantage in this fight. As you can see at the bottom, lightweight co-main, I have the arrow pointed towards Figueroa. That's why, because I think this co-main's kind of put in a spot for him. Coming out of Colorado, he's going to be fighting in his hometown. This is one of the fighters I have on my radar in BKFC. I really don't have a lot. I've just started watching every card recently, like 4 or 5 cards ago. But this is a fighter that caught my eye in Ramiro Figueroa. And I think he's a future contender for sure. I won't put future champ just yet. He is a future champ in my eyes, though, but I'll just put contender. But yeah, I think this is a huge spot for Figueroa here to traject himself to the top of this lightweight division. I think the division's pretty open, and I really like this kid. I won't be picking against him anytime soon, so... I'm not going to go just high confidence just because it's Figueroa. I like what I see in the kid. He's a future contender. Put some respect on Elvin Brito's durability here. 6 losses, 1 by knockout. Very impressive, but there's just no way I can't pick against Figueroa fighting out of his hometown and having a lot of things in his favor for this card. I mean, I'm going to take him here average confidence. I like him here a lot. Give me Figueroa on to the next fight. Next up, main event here, you have a cruiserweight bout. Number 1 ranked Chris Camozzi going to be taking on number 2 ranked Esteban Rodriguez. Camozzi coming into this on his later stages of his career, 39 years old, compared to Esteban Rodriguez, who's going to be coming into this 5 years younger, 34 years old. Esteban Rodriguez, 1-4 professional MMA record. Then you look at Camozzi, 42 fight MMA veteran, coming into this 27-15 pro MMA record. So out of those 42 professional MMA fights, he's only been knocked out once. Just kind of incredible there. Also, UFC veteran, 9-10 in the UFC, 3-2 pro kickboxer. Holds a BKFC record of 4-2. Has some pretty close fights. 2 split decisions against current cruiserweight champion and Lorenzo Hunt. 2 split decisions. Kind of nuts, man, the durability on Chris Camozzi, only getting stopped 1 time out of his 42 professional MMA fights. Not being stopped in BKFC yet. Holds a 75% KO rate, so he stopped 3 of his 4 BKFC wins. And you have Esteban Rodriguez, like I said, 1-4 professional MMA fighter. 6-1 amateur MMA, though. So he holds a 100% KO rate on his amateur MMA record. He just struggled when it started coming to facing some grapplers. But it showed that he's a striker, man, because he transitioned from MMA to bare knuckle very well, coming into this with a BKFC record of 5-1, 100% KO rate. Looking in the tail of the tape, he's going to stand an inch taller. Should possess about 3-inch reach advantage in this fight. And you have Camozzi here fighting out of Denver, so Rodriguez is going to be on enemy territory. I just figured that out recently. I don't know how I missed that, but Camozzi going to have the hometown factor on his side. I think bare knuckle suits Esteban Rodriguez slightly more for his sport, man. The guy is an absolute brawler. Throws with 100% intent. Tries to come out and hurt you early. Tucks his chin. More on the brawling side than technical, but I like the way he trains. I like who he trains with. Seems like he's hungry. I like the interviews he's putting out. And if there's one fighter to come into Denver and spoil a win in the hometown fighter city, I think it's Esteban Rodriguez. This man can sure definitely strike, and give him the reach advantage, size advantage in this fight. I just got to take Esteban Rodriguez here. The question is, can Esteban Rodriguez stop Chris Camozzi and finally try and be the person to touch its chin and put him out? I'm not sure. I kind of lean yes, but I could see this being stopped without Chris Camozzi's consent. Maybe like a doctor stoppage, just too tough for his own good. I think Esteban Rodriguez is going to land the much cleaner, heavier shots in this bout. I'm going to take Esteban Rodriguez here, average confidence. That's going to do it for the full breakdown on this Denver card. Lots of good fights. I think there should be some close odds on this fight to snag on this whole card. But yeah, this is just one of the 2 events for BKFC this week. I still got to research BKFC Australia. They're making their debut over there, I believe. Still got some PFL research to do. That's Thursday. UFC Saturday. Just a lot of content that could be getting put out this week. but I'm focusing on BKFC. I will be giving out my advanced tailored tapes for UFC. Might put out a PFL one as well. But yeah, I'm going to start working on this BKFC Australia card. Might come out a little bit late, but still want to get it out. Still want to record my picks and break down that whole Australian card. It's just going to be a crazy week because right after this main event ends, BKFC Australia is going to start up about like 4 or 5 hours later because it's an early start time for that card. For at least East Coast USA. I believe they start at like 4 or 5 in the morning. But yeah, gonna move on to the quick pick segment. Thank you for everyone that stuck through all these breakdowns. Alright, on to the quick pick segment for the first fight of the night for BKFC Denver 88. Got a lightweight bout. You have Sergio Lopez versus Brett Hudson. Gonna be taking Sergio Lopez here, low confidence. Second fight of the night, another lightweight bout. You have Maestas going to be taking on Ruben Arroyo. Give me the dog here. Ruben Arroyo, low confidence. Next up, got a flyweight bout. You have Angelo Trujillo going to be taking on Anthony Yost. I'm going to be taking Anthony Yost here, low confidence. Next up, cruiserweight bout. You have Erick Lozano welcoming Deron Winn to his BKFC debut. Gonna be taking Erick Lozano here, low confidence. Bantamweight bout, Noah Aldana versus Nick Burgos. Give me Noah Aldana here in his BKFC debut, low confidence. Next up, flyweight bout, you have Octavin Turner going to be taking on Joby Steffensmeier. I'm going to be taking Octavin Turner here, average confidence. Welterweight bout, you have Andrew Yates versus Rodney Hinton. Going to be taking Andrew Yates here, low confidence. Next up, cruiserweight bout, you have Josh Fremd versus Jared Torgeson. Give me Josh Fremd here. Average confidence. Heavyweight bout. Josh Copeland versus Corey, what you talking about, Willis. Gonna be taking Josh Copeland here. Low confidence. Co-main event time, lightweight bout. You have Ramiro Figueroa gonna be taking on Elvin Brito. Give me Ramiro Figueroa here, average confidence. Probably one of the top fighters on my radar in BKFC, and Figueroa could be a high confidence here, but putting some respect on Elvin Brito's durability, but like Figueroa here a lot. Alright, main event, cruiserweight bout, number 1 ranked Chris Camozzi going to be taking on number 2 ranked Esteban Rodriguez. Going to be taking Esteban Rodriguez here, average confidence. Coming off a good card in Hawaii. Let's see if we can repeat that. Bro Fight MMA out.